Yeah.
Pick something.
Clearly, so either there is an issue with picking the champion.
Thank you.
Or a team has tried to claim that they messed up on their bans and something happened and it was denied. Regardless, it's Orianna the lock-in for JDG. Now, I know you said you want to see the response be Nocturne and Nico. Do you think that we will get the Nico? Because I think we'll definitely get the Nocturne.
I think Nico can come on 3. Doesn't have to be here. I think you can go towards something... Ooh, like a Syndra that's been left up all series so far. This is a flex as well. Lee Sin instantly locked in. I guess both teams have had a long time to think about what pick they're going to play. Syndra makes a ton of sense. JDG been banning it the entire series so far. They let up a ban so they can ban things like the Poppy, which sets up for the Lee Sin because they knew they weren't going to get Nocturne. This answers some of the early pressure that the Nocturne can provide, and it's still a great combo with Orianna. Another champion that does both of those things, early pressure and combo with Orianna, is this Camille support that's been rising up and dominating the meta.
It has been one of Vampire's worst champions. He is winless on it. He has not performed particularly well on it, but they are going to give it to him. They're going to put the ball in his hands figuratively and potentially literally in this game. Not the worst ball carrier as well as Lee Sin. Over on the other side, it will not be a Nico. It will be a Leona. So a champion that doesn't get taken advantage of in a Camille lane can also have some solid roaming and just in general bring a little bit of beef to the team composition.
Yeah, I don't mind it as well because not similarly in any similar way to Nico, but when the lights get turned off, you're dumping a ult on someone's head. It's still very difficult to see who's getting stunned, where the ult's coming from, where the Leona is coming from. It does work, right? I think that JDG, however, have the far superior draft in the first 15 minutes of the game. Yes. They need to run LGD down, because if they don't, they will lose the game. I don't see a world in which later on you are winning against this because the Syndra will deny every engage. I always think back to, I think it was Demacia. It might have been the very beginning of this year in the LPL. I think it was Rookie playing a game on Syndra against, I believe it was HongQ on Azir. And it was so much dive. And every time Rookie was just hitting the Scout of the Week so perfectly and denying all the engage.
Well, this early game will be difficult for LGD, mostly because you need to have some more winning lanes here. And so far, we're waiting on what the bot lanes could be. There's still potential for that Syndra to go bot lane, but I think you might find it a little bit harder to get a champion that's going to either go even into Ori or get push on her. We see the Ambessa lock in here, so we're looking for more single target pick like we have with the rest of the comp. It's also a good takeaway from Xiaoxu, who has been a pretty good Ambessa, but also happens to be a good ball carrier. So really well drafted there by LGD on their 4th pick.
I think that means you're assuming that this is a Syndra bot 100%, but I think it very likely could be Syndra mid against the Orianna.
I think so too.
Because otherwise, again, like you mentioned, not a ton you can actually play here. So there's a lot of dive. There is a lot of dive, a lot of threat on the backline. The problem with that, the lights get turned out. Scout of the Week is there. Here's the Kai'Sa. Here's the Gala Kai'Sa. If Shaoye picks a mage, it's really hard for Kai'Sa to do anything in lane. He might just actually go towards the Xayah, which is a bit more of an all-in fighter. Zeri the same. Sivir the same. Seems like the ideas right now are more towards the AD carry side. This isn't bad for the bunker. The Sivir, I'm not a fan of the Varus, however. I think the Sivir is the best choice, like you mentioned. Xayah's not too bad. Gonna be the Xayah. Helps against the dive with the ult. But this is a time where I think JDG's draft is excellent as long as they get off to a good start. Kai'Sa and Jax can help them through the late game with Orianna damage. We need to see Vampire JunJia linking up with HongQ, because this is one of the most scary early game jungle support combos I could possibly think of. If I'm any other player, any other champion, Lee Sin Camille sounds like the worst two to see invading you I could have possibly thought of.
yeah, I am hitting the panic button and trying to flash out of there. And I love that JDG rounds out their draft by giving Kaisa over to the pentakill Prince Gala, a champion that he has been so good on, is going to be back in his wheelhouse. Meta be damned. If LGD can weather the early going, this will be a problem for JDG. But Heng, he's going to have to hang in there, because I know that JDG is going to disrupt him and try to keep him off hitting level 6. But if he can hit level 6 without a hitch, and LGD are the first ones to make a play, I am very concerned with what JDG's doing.
Yep, gonna be a scary early game for LGD, but like you said, if they can weather the storm, they have a lot of late game damage, Yanni, a lot of backline as well with the Xayah, with the Syndra, with this Leona. A really nice bunker comp that has the ability to go forwards too with the Nocturne and the Ambessa.
All right, Jbetto and fans, the final game of the first best of 3 of the day between JDG and LGD. We're hitting the rift. There we go. We got a lively crowd
Warms
now,
my heart.
Very, very lively. Jbetto, LGD has not beaten JDG in a best of 3 since summer of 2021. Over 5 years ago, they have an opportunity to change their fate here. Gala, down to half HP. Shaoye, already forced to flash away and not really able to get too much damage back on the Vampire, with Camille's shield negating that damage.
All right, a tense start to a tense series already. Vampire on this Camille with the Halo Blades doesn't end up using the Ignite, but Xiaoye no flash. There's the exhaust use as well.
The Vampire, he's getting taken pretty low, and Gala's down to half 2.
This is a 3 camps into either invade or dive start from JunJia. He's pathing down, but he might get spotted on this ward. I don't think that JDG know. This is going to be massive for the game.
They have invade pressure. All right. So it looks like JunJia is going to start heading onto the camps here, onto that Gromp. Tangyuan doing whatever he can to keep HongQ away. Taking him low. HongQ with a little bit of healing as he digged to level 3 down to the bot lane. And it's going to be first blood for JunJia.
It's a disaster start for LGD. Walking over the ward, but Heng can't get down in time. So he skipped his entire bot quadrant, and for what? For nothing. He didn't save the gank. He didn't get a kill. JunJia's off to a good start now, can go back topside, and he's even clear despite the start. Tangyuan flashes in onto HongQ. Can't get the kill. HongQ levels up just as the flash comes through. So now no flash on an immobile Syndra. JDG have their best start to this series so far.
Yeah, Gala's already up near 400 gold. JunJia's up over 300. And I just wonder, what if Tangyuan decided, I'm going to head to the bot side, and I'm going to move there first, and maybe they're able to prevent this dive from going off right away, because again, as you mentioned, they had the vision. You take a look at the replay, it's just as simple as hitting level 2 and hitting the go button.
Yep. Xiaoye still level 1. The exhaust was used, the flash was used already. Such great play in the lane in the early game for JDG. And this doesn't break open the game by any means. JDG need to continue this pace on an absolute pace. They're losing their Raptors for a Krugs invade. That should go towards JunJia, but he might be looking for a gank in topside first.
All right, Burdol's going to be the look. The counter-strike is going to land the stun. Here comes JunJia as well. Burdol still holding this flash for the moment. Gets slowed up, tagged with a Q. He might just be able to walk it out, and he does. Very shrewd move there by the LGD top lane.
And now, Heng in the top side to defend his camps. JunJia knows that the Krugs are up, but he can't go for them. So he's going to be down some CS. That gold lead slowly closing up in the jungle already. JunJia makes a gamble, gives over his Raptors for an for a gank and an invade that doesn't work. But now he's back at the Raptors looking for an invade. Against Nocturne, pretty tough.
Yeah, Nocturne does this camp
gets
incredibly
none.
well. It will reset. JunJia still wants to poke his head back in there, but this time we're going to see pings go down onto the Krugs. Heng is going to drop the Krugs. I'm just going to take them in. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side, a recall happened. Shaoye stuck under the turret, and it is just far too easy. Gala gets his first of the game.
Yep, JunJia's going to suffer, sure. But you can see JDG, it's just a bait. JunJia looks for it, and if given the opportunity, he will do it. But Crisp is forced to come up because of the prio that HongQ and JunJia are generating. So this leaves a Xayah by herself against Kai'Sa Camille. Very aggressive bot lane, and you can see how much damage they do to Xiaoye. 1k lead for Gala on one of his best champions of all time.
We've been waiting for Gala to be able to shine on his traditional picks. I like that when the chips are down, JDG say, this is what we're going with. We are going to go down swinging our way. I think more teams need to do that and play that sort of style. And so far, they are being rewarded, Jbetto. Dragon is up. It's been up for a little bit. Nobody really taking a look at it, turning their noses up at it. And why would you if you're JDG with the kind of lead that you've built so far?
Yeah, a lot of gold on the map right now in terms of just the kills given over to JDG. First blood and second blood. You can also see the difference in the CS for bot lane has resulted in almost a full level lead. In fact, it might even be more than that as Gala collects this way very close to over a full level. But not only that, the gold. Not only that, the cull stacks. When Gala finishes this, he's 30 in front. He's going to have that extra gold for an item spike way sooner. He will be at Kraken Slayer, while Xiaoye has a couple of long swords. Any fight will be terrifying for LGD.
Shockwave, it's still caught Tangyuan despite the flash. He's still alive. Heng on the backside takes out Vampire. It's a 1-for-1 for now, but Heng is going to look to chase down HongQ, unable to do so. So the first paranoia is defensive and only results in a 1-for-1.
Still a good pickup here for Heng. HongQ doing a good amount of damage, catching Tangyuan's flash. That's the most important part of this kill. JunJia can come back and look for another gank with Vampire. Try to get some more leverage for HongQ in this lane. He hasn't really built up that big of a lead for himself as the popping execution goes wide. Really feeling those nerfs still. No one has really adjusted to them. Definitely doesn't feel too good, but JDG simply need to play around Gala throughout this early game with this 1k lead. And so much there's so much CC to proc Kai'Sa passive or to add stacks to. Gala has a tough game in terms of the range against the Syndra, against the Leona, sure. But it's such a great comp to play Kai'Sa in.
We've seen JDG have these leads before and be unable to close out the games. Think of their series against Top Esports recently. JunJia hopping over the wall with the kick, and Burdol goes down to the auto attack from Xiaoxu. JDG up 4 kills to 1.
Yeah, this is what we need to see from JDG with this comp. Early domination, and that's what they've shown so far. Vampire on these roams, finding success. JunJia on these roams and ganks, finding success. And they have done so. Only have dropped 1 death, and it's Vampire in that mid lane. They're up 4 kills, and all of them spread out among pretty decent champions to get leads. They will lose this dragon, but getting some grubs on Jax is really nice. Should be able to really start to do damage in the side lane when he gets these items online against Burdol. But I am really scared for LGD when this Kraken Slayer gets picked up by Gala. He's going to be significantly ahead of Shaoye, who does have the BF sword, so that is a good pickup. Means that he's probably going towards the Yuntal and a much better first item than the Essence Reaver start. But still, Gala will be here so much quicker.
Heng's paranoia is now off cooldown, so we're looking for the second one to make an impact. If you're a fan of LGD, remember, it's a team that we think if they can weather the storm, they have options and chances in this game. with the leads that have already been taken by JDG, it is going to be a tough mountain to climb. Heng on the recall is going to start walking toward that top side of the map, so it might be the next spot that we see a Paranoia go down.
But you Paranoia into what? Jack stun? Maybe that gets spell shielded. He jumps away. He has flash into the shockwave. HongQ also has flash. There's no way of forcing that unless Crisp roams. If Crisp roams, Shaoye gets dove. Are you going to gank the Kai'Sa and the Camille? Well, you just die if you do that. Gala has cleanse and flash and enough damage to kill you. Yes, you do have the first item spike here for Heng, the experimental hex plate. But I think that anywhere you go as Heng right now, you are losing the play unless you overwhelm with numbers. And right now, that's a risky gambit to make. Leaving someone like Shaoye here alone in the 1v1, he will be losing it. He was going to go down a lot of CS, and at any time, a dive could be coming.
He swept out some wards earlier, or he turned a sweeper on, but didn't catch any wards. And JDG have had full information of where the LGD jungler is. Vampire walking up to this top side here after a teleport in from Xiaoxu. Going to look to shove this wave in. They're going to look to make the dive happen onto Burdol because they know that Heng is no longer on the top side of the map. HongQ going to put the ball on Vampire. The good ball carrying work will get the job done. It is Xiaoxu getting a second kill, up over 1,000 gold, and LGD have yet to respond. The opportunity might be here, the blast cone, it's hung over the wall to kick away, but it's the solar eclipse combo with the flash over the wall, and JunJia will not survive. It's Heng picking up his second.
There is an answer, but I do still want to talk about the macro decisions from JDG there, going for 2 dives at once, one in top, one in bot. As soon as JunJia is on that control ward, he knows the LGD are going to drop everything to cover for their AD carry. And then immediately, JDG retreat in the bot side. But they're in top now with HongQ and Vampire diving this Mbessa, putting her further behind. Unfortunately, JunJia gets caught and it kind of ruins the beauty of the play. But still, there's the cull finish for Gala. He has the Kraken Slayer finished as well. LGD cannot fight him at all. He's up 1.8k. He's up so much CS. Xiaoxu's going to get spotted on this ward, but I don't think that's going to stop it from happening, this dive.
And Gala had just completed his 80 carry quest too, so he is a lot of money in the bank right now.
He's pretty rich.
To cash in on. He's going to cash in on a couple more plates, and Xiaoxu's going to help out with those triple grubs. It might even be worth the death of Vampire here. It's going to be Heng picking up his 3rd kill of the game, but it's Xiaoxu and Gala with their pockets up 2k on their lane opponents each.
Yeah, definitely an overstep there for Vampire, giving Heng the kill. I will probably agree with you and say that it is worth just because of the magnitude of the sheer gold lead that Xiaoxu and Gala have together. And I do think that it is still really difficult for Heng to go in anywhere on a side lane. Typically on Nocturne, you want to be going in on a side lane and ulting and making these plays at this part and future parts of the game. But anywhere you go, you're probably dying or at least not getting a kill. Gala
Unleashed power
dies in mid.
There you go, Tangyuan, and now we're going to try to make a play on the top side. These chain lace crushers are going to reduce the CC, but that's not going to matter when you're publicly executed. It is a 4th kill for Heng, and LGD have knotted up the kill feed.
Yeah, okay, well, you can kill HongQ, there is that, but I have no idea what Gala is doing, walking up and dying to Syndra in mid. He has no reason to do that at all. Has flash up too, doesn't need to get hit by anything and still does and dies. Huge mistake from JDG here. They lose 2 crucial members and it won't... I guess he's caught out of vision. Cleanse it. Like, don't be so greedy with your summoner spells. That's a cleanse. You need to cleanse that and walk away. There's no excuse.
Well, it's holding in the back pocket for this next fight, Jbetto. So Gala still having both summoners up. Should be a favorable fight for JDG. LGD trying to poke their heads in. on the second dragon. Doesn't really look like they'll get an opportunity to do so. So JDG will be able to take their first dragon of the game, second overall. Flash for Vampire doesn't quite land, and the spell shield on the Heng means that he should survive, but Gala is going to force out his flash with a killer instinct.
I think that's fine for LGD. I think it's a really smart idea to give the dragon, like you mentioned, Gala didn't use his summoners, but he did lose 700 gold of his lead, right? Which is massive when Xiaoye didn't get the kill. So let's not fight the dragon. We've already got one. We're giving over one Chemtech Drake to JDG. Then the Orianna ult gets spell shielded by Nocturne. Well timed by Heng. The flash shot from Gala was way too far for his team. Then Gala ult can't get the kill. LGD, I think, are pretty happy with that play. They lose the dragon, sure, but it doesn't particularly matter a whole lot. And now JDG are left kind of scratching their heads. They've got this gold lead. They have this early game dominance in a comp, but they can't use it.
Yeah, only about 1,000 gold lead now. Herald going to be started up as Heng looking to link up with Burdol, who's down to about half HP as HongQ trying to shove him off, but HongQ doesn't have a whole lot of mana. Blue buff is going to be secured here by JunJia. Gala and Vampire going to try to walk in as Christmas marked. Teleport in the middle of everything is going to land. Here's the Jax. The lights are out. He's trying to get back onto this back line. They flash away from him, and they're trying to turn onto him, but Xiaoxu is forced to flash away. This is going to make sure the Herald goes over to JDG. Good scatter of the weak, trying to keep JDG at arm's length. Crisp trying to hold the front line. He gets kicked away. They go in on the Heng. The shockwave doesn't quite land. Burdol gets the kill, and here could be the turn for LGD as Burdol's still alive. Crisp is low. The flash forward. HongQ gets the kill. He gets stunned up. It's a double kill for him, but there's a lot of damage coming out from the carries, but Shaoye is the one who goes down. It's a HongQ triple kill, and JDG managed to win the fight.
And after all that, nobody picked up the Herald. It was just about the fight the entire time. JDG get there, yes, but we'll take a look at something after this replay. First, let's talk about this replay. So Xiaoye wants to be running backwards, so does Tangyuan. Watch how much of this fight they are spent running backwards. It is a perfect fight for LGD. Running backwards the entire time, layering in damage. Yes, this looks like a good fight for JDG, but I don't believe it is, because you're not actually winning it. You're going even in a fight that you should be winning at this point in the game. HongQ with a triple kill looks great. Gala has to cleanse to get in more damage. Yes, you do get some kills, but it ends up being, what, a 4 for 3? Look at the 80 carry gold lead right now. That absolutely was not worth it.
Yeah, Shaoye able to pull it back. The good news for JDG is they did increase their lead. It's back near 2,000, but the proper member of LGD, Shaoye, has got a huge injection back into the game. Burdol still down quite a bit, but not as bad as it once was. And if you are a JDG fan, there's got to be a lot of nervous stomachs in that stadium right now. We've seen this team get a huge lead early and fall apart. We saw it at the last game of last week, and it could be happening here again in the first game of week 3.
Okay, Gala's got Rage Blade, but if Xiaoye has Infinity Edge here, I think that's a better spike. I think Gala needs 3 items to really come online. Xiaoye gets his base cancel, that's nice. 1 minute until this dragon, but I think LGD are happy to give this.
Yeah, no worries there. Here we go. Nocturne ultimate down. And that should just be enough to get the job done. HongQ goes down. It's Heng getting another kill. This Vampire's going to fly out of there. JunJia going to be able to ward hop over the wall. And it is another quick pick for LGD. Heng is going crazy this game. 5-1.
Yeah. HongQ hasn't really been able to use his ult with his team that well. -1, unfortunate Tangyuan. But now, I really like this JDG draft. I think it's great, especially with the big leads that they had, but they've thrown it all away multiple times in fights that you're trading, and you don't want to be doing that from ahead when you're giving over shutdowns and big amounts of gold over to champions like Xayah. It's even. It is 300 gold. Xayah has Infinity Edge. This fight is anyone's. LGD can very easily walk in with this Leona that will absolutely demolish Camille in the late game and take this fight.
LGD poking their heads in as the Dragon is up. Baron going to be up in 40 seconds, which means an explosive one-sided fight. Means the game could spill out of control if it happens past the 20-minute mark. Just trying to do what they can to sweep out a lot of these wards. Couple of them down as the Dragon's been started up by JDG. HongQ going to drop the ball over the wall just to see where the rest of LGD is. Teleport's going to be coming in from Burdol on the backside. Meanwhile, it's going to be answered by Xiaoxu into the pit. Dragon secured by Gala. There's a scatter of the week, and that means the shockwave is down immediately. LGD turn around. They know the cooldowns are there. Xiaoxu's got a big shield. Crypt's getting very low. He's forced to flash away. Lights are out. Heng ready to pick his spot, and he finds it onto Xiaoxu. But Xiaoxu's still alive, but finally go down as Burdol's in the backside, slicing everybody up. Shaoye lives, but so do the rest of JDG. Tangyuan getting tagged as Heng is very low. But Shaoye wants this fight. Drops the ultimate down, but he can't kill HongQ. Gala with the cleanse. Gala with the plays. Gala's low, but Gala lives.
JDG win that fight out of pure mechanics. They win the smite fight. I believe it was Gala who got the kill. Must have been with passive proc. LGD juggled the aggro so well. Crisp in, then hung in. Then Mbessa ult over the top. But they want to be walking backwards so badly. With this Syndra, let's have a look. Wow, that is so close. Didn't even see the number it went down to. Beautiful cancel from Tangyuan. This is what I was talking about. With the Syndra, can deny so much of the engage. Chris goes in. Now he's out. Heng goes in now to punish the flash here from Xiaoxu. Then Heng flashes out. Then Mbessa goes in. It's a beautiful dance here by LGD.
Picture.
There is a Baron in live.
Yeah, and this is getting ripped down. 6,000 and dropping. Heng does not have his ultimate. It's up in 5 seconds, and they cannot get in there. Can LGD? It's going to be JDG securing that Baron and walking away.
That is a T1 Baron if I've ever seen one. Yanni walks in, tests it, so much damage with Kai'Sa, gets the Baron. They have the lead in Dragons, the lead in Gold, and now they have the Baron to continue both of those through. Baron nearly meets up with the Dragon spawn too. So they'll have prio, or they should have prio, throughout most of the time. Right now they don't. It's 5 members strong in the mid lane, but they won't even be able to take down the mid lane tower. The side lanes are falling apart here for LGD a little bit. Pushing in these Baron minions, chipping down these towers, and now JDG in control of the map.
Yeah, it looked like LGD thought that mid turret was going to go down with just that auto attack. Was not enough. Would have been a good way to claw back a little bit of gold. But this means for the next 2 minutes, LGD should be pinned down by the might of these Baron up minions as JDG looking to just rotate around properly as 3 members with Orianna and Kai'Sa and Lee Sin and just shove in waves, knock down some turrets. Xiaoxu went in, does force the flash out of Burdol.
Vampire's here.
Vampire looking to go in. The shockwave connects. Shaoye drops the ultimate down and turns it around on a Vampire. So JDG denied a kill.
And they try with the combo again, but there's just not enough damage with this build from HongQ. He has Blackfire Torch, Rocket Belt. He has a lot of ability haste and utility, but he doesn't have the one-shot potential yet with this build. That might have just completely thwarted the entire Baron. They've got a minute left, and on this hero play, getting the Baron, they can't get a single kill. They can't even get a mid-tier 1 tower.
Shaoye might be down a half an item, but he does have that Infinity Edge. It looks like he's taking a recall to maybe equalize that. Mid-turret going down. LGD trying to make sure this Baron has very little value for JDG. It's about a 1,200 positive gold Baron power play. 30 seconds until this Baron falls. Shaoye has gotten that 3rd item. 5-4-4. A really wonderful comeback from a guy who when the lights have shined brightest, he has been able to make plays. Crisp may have gone a little bit too deep. His ultimate did not connect, and they cannot save the support.
Okay.
So a little trigger happy, and he'll go down. Xiaoye, taken below half HP, forces that exhaust out, and JDG back on the offensive.
5 seconds on this Baron, though. This is the last thing they'll be able to get. Positions around the Dragon is the most important thing that JDG are looking for right now. This gold is nice. It gets Gala back to about a 1.3, maybe 1.4k lead. But they won't be able to push in any more towers. Dragon, sole point for JDG in 10 seconds. Making a play on Burdol.
All right, they're going to attack on public execution. Not going to land anywhere. He can't get out of the shockwave either. And JDG find another critical pick. And that means the Dragon is theirs for sure. It's sole point and a 4,500 gold lead.
Crisp going in there, not finding the ult onto Vampire, and then the Zenith Blade still hitting, going too deep, cost them so much. You see Gala hits W and then immediately uses the Killer Instinct on the Shaoye in the backline to try to do as much damage as possible and push the Xayah out. That's not possible if Crisp is alive, because the second that happens, Gala's going to get hit with every CC known to man, and he's going to die. He might cleanse, but then he's hit by another CC. Leona just has so much in tow. The Nocturne ult could have been after that as well, Tangyuan. But as soon as Crisp dies, there's nothing stopping Gala from going in once he hits that W. They lose the tower. They lose a lot of Xiaoye's health bar. Then the dive gets played onto Burdol, and they lose the Dragon. All happening after Crisp just goes in a little bit too deep and dies.
You mentioned it's not possible if Crisp doesn't go in. As hang on, we have a member going golden here. It's Xiaoxu who's trying to flash away, but they're really trying to run him down, and they will. It's Xiaoye getting credit for the kill. Vampire might be the next target, and LGD are unable to continue their push.
Still back and forth. Remember, a lot of CC in frontline from this Leona. She provides so much to this comp as protecting Xayah and allowing her team to go in. Catching that Xiaoxu in the side lane is very nice. He's got a big lead, and taking that out of the game for another 30 seconds is nice. Xiaoye continues to manage to even up the gold. Whenever Gala gets something, Xiaoye is getting something back. He's never too far behind in terms of gold. Once this Xayah gets to a point, I think it's 4 items. Maybe the GA after this, I assume LDR is important as well. Like, important enough to talk about, but once the LDR, that's all the damage that's necessary. Really nice knockback from Tangyuan. The ult is beautiful, but Crisp being alive here and just zoning away. Look at Vampire, he can't go in. Solar Flash splits up the fight, and then again, Crisp is here. Kick from JunJia saves Vampire's life. The Leona answer to this Camille, the later the game goes, is proving to be a really big issue for JDG to deal with.
I shudder to think of how the game would have changed if JunJia's kick is not as good, if it does not hit multiple members. Because I think LGD are able to continue the fight from there, and maybe, just maybe, they're able to really take control of this game. Instead, JDG still having their 4,500 gold lead. An unsteady one if you have been watching JDG lately. A team that has struggled to close out games with the leads that they have. We might be seeing it repeat again here. Cresting toward the 28-minute mark. Baron is up. 2 minutes until a potential Infernal Soul for JDG. LGD are going to eventually have to make a move. We do have a last whisper on Xiaoye.
We do. But Gala's got all 3 abilities upgraded. He wanted to go towards the Terminus before the Nashes, so delaying that spike a little bit, but now he has it up 1.5k. But like you said, if Xiaoye can get to LDR before this dragon spawns, he's dead even. The extra damage from Gala, pardon me, isn't going to matter a ton. HongQ's ult needs to go massive. Xiaoxu needs to go huge in the backline, and the problem is that Tangyuan, despite not having the same gold as HongQ does, the Scout of the Week provides so much against the comp that JDG has.
Xiaoxu on the split push right now. He's going to be able to take out bot tier 2. As LGD are going to have to back off. Baron has been started. Ward put over the wall. JunJia gonna clear out this pink. Right now, LGD are holding. They have sent Burdol to go answer. And JDG will back off.
Yep. Pull LGD to the top side. Now use their reset to hopefully get vision around this Baron. Remember, they do still have a significant gold lead. Gala and Xiaoxu are very, very strong. HongQ still doesn't have massive amounts of AP. He won't be absolutely one-shotting someone with Shockwave yet, but the pull back in the CC is enough to do meaningful damage to LGD. Contesting on this mid wave, both teams fighting for priority of the river. Gala
getting slowed up. Balls on him, well protected. Scout of the week keeps JunJia away. Burdol wants to get into that banana brush, but good ball control here from HongQ, trying to chunk out the front line of LGD. As the Dragon has been started, 90% crit for Shaoye. That 10% could make all the difference in this fight. 5,000, 4,000, getting lower as Heng wants to turn off the lights soon. Vampire coming in from the side, lights are out. Kick on Crisp is out. Are we getting a re-engage? No!
They got it.
An Infernal Soul secured. And look at Xiaoxu. Oh no, Crisp takes him down. Shaoye gets flashed off by JunJia and goes down the shockwave. Not gonna land, but it will not matter. JDG still 5 members strong. HongQ wants to put the game away, and he takes out Tangyuan. And they're gonna flash onto Heng, and he will drop 2. JDG, it was sloppy, it was gritty, but it is in the win column regardless. They will finish off Burdol, they will finish off LGD, and they will get back in the win column at 2 and 4.
Another tough win for JDG. LGD put up such a big fight at the end. It don't even matter because, like you said, it's in the win column and JDG will take that.
It's been 1,872 days since LGD won a best of 3 against JDG, and that number will sadly continue. Jbetto, a series that they certainly could have won, but they came up short in game 3, and a critical game 1 mistake is the reason why they're walking away 1 and 5.
LGD could have won all 3 of those games. That last fight, I mean, they put themselves into a really bad position to try to steal the dragon. When that doesn't happen, they try to retreat and then just run down by this Lee Sin, by Gala. So much damage coming out of them. I still think that there are significant issues that JDG need to deal with, but a win here is very important for the mental. Not being 1 and 5, not being like 6th place is important. JDG will start off a hopeful 3-0 week for them with this 2-1 victory over LGD.
I don't know if it's going to be a 3-0 week. After what I saw against LGD, they can certainly lose the Team WE on the back half of the week. JDG opened with the very first game of day 1 and the very last game of day 5. But in the middle, they have to play against EDG, which is a team that we'll see up next after we get through all the post-game festivities for the first series of the day. We don't even know what that team's going to look like, Jbetto, with JJ coming in. We could have, he's back, the new old jungler, and, maybe this team gets a new direction, all of a sudden becomes a little scary. And maybe we're looking at JDG at 1 and 2, who knows?
Either way, regardless, JDG have shown that they need to tooth and nail fight through every series. On paper, this should be a 2-0 easy victory for JDG, but LGD putting up a really good fight here in this game. I could have won all 3 games if a couple of things had gone differently, if some team fights had gone a bit more LGD's way. JDG will get the win, but they're definitely not feeling good about this. They have a lot of work to do for the remainder of this split if they want to make it to that split 3 playoffs and be in contention for the title.
A lot to like out of what they brought to the table today, but they're going to have to very quickly shake off this tough loss because tomorrow they're going to play against ThunderTalk. These 2 teams in LGD and ThunderTalk are going to be fighting for that 6th seed. Remember, that 6th seed automatically gets you into the playoffs. You skip the play-in. With how EDG could look, who knows? Maybe we're going to have a different conversation about that. But right now, We were thinking it's going to be Thunder Talk or LGD as one of those teams that's going to get out, and the other one's going to be in the bottom too. So you have to really lock in tomorrow, the first game of tomorrow's day, and take a win over a Thunder Talk team that you could absolutely beat if you were able to do this to JDG. Push them this far to the brink.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a good thing for LGD to be able to get these games like this where you're not getting blown out. Very easy to look over and point out mistakes that they made in team fights and some moments where they were hesitant or overstepped and got overexcited. Again, if a couple of things in all three of these games were different, this could have been an LGD series, and they should be happy about that. It is upsetting for them, and I'm sure they're not happy about being 1-5 in Group Ascend, but there is still plenty of good to take from them in this series. Great team fights, some good laning. I think Heng had a good series, but you do need to work on these issues. I do want to talk about JDG, though. In terms of stability, I feel like Vampire is it. He's been very stable in this series so far. I think that the Alistair game he looked good in. I think in game 2, despite it being a little uncomfortable, didn't look terrible. And in this game, the Camille through the early game didn't look too bad. There was a couple overextensions, but dictated a lot of the early pace of JDG.
He was absolutely everywhere except for the top lane, but was really converting on a lot of these kills. I thought he had a really strong early game. It's just a matter of the team needs to be able to convert these early leads and make these games not close. Like, this game should not have been close with the start that JDG had, but for some reason, they go up 5-1 and they get all loosey-goosey. They do happy gaming, and sometimes, Jbetto, when you do happy gaming, you get punched in the mouth and you have to lock back in. We've all had those games. You're playing with the boys. Things are going great. You know, you inted in top lane. That's okay. You inted in mid lane. Gala. That's okay. Guys, this game is starting to get hard all of a sudden. That's exactly what happened in this last game. You take a look at the damage charts. Dueling 80 carries. Both of these guys, when you took a look at the numbers earlier, when we had this as our head-to-head, both of them struggling. They really came out to play in this third game. And unfortunately for Shaoye, Gala was just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that this graph is really impressive because the damages are all touching each other. Of course, Camille is going to have a significant amount more than Leona. That's given. But if the gold lead was different, if it was more even, if LGD had the lead, could very easily see this going the other way because of how much damage LGD did manage to do with their limited gold. Side lane issue. Xiaoxu kind of gave Burdol the hands in this game, with help from Vampire, sure. But for the most part, I was impressed by Shaoye in games 2 and 3. Don't need to talk about game 1. And I think that Tangyuan had a good series. Heng had a good series. A couple of fights different, and LGD can win these games. JDG, obviously aware of that, need to be changing up some of these mistakes that they're throwing these leads, because that was not a clean game at all.
Not in the slightest. And I want to go back to what you just said about Burdol, right? Kind of got the hands in that last game. Burdol was a big reason why this team was so successful in Group Nirvana, a big reason why they managed to get into Ascend for Split 3. But one thing that I mentioned in the past is that now Burdol needs to hit another level. We need to see further growth from him if this LGD team wants to do better, wants to shoot for maybe winning a playoff series. And unfortunately for him in this series, we didn't really get to see that, especially in this last game when the chips were down. A couple of uncharacteristic mistakes from Crisp. A lot of timing issues, especially in this fight. Could have dropped down the Nocturnal a little bit sooner to prevent a lot of damage onto Crisp. Could have pulled the trigger a little bit sooner because I think Jax's Counter-Strike was still down. But by the time he went in, it came back up.
I do want to say that game 2 for Burdol was a game like that. He got 7 out of 8 votes for MVP. And while I'm not sure about 7 out of 8, I think he did have a really great performance on the Mundo. He looked great in lane. It was a great Mundo angle, and he played the champion super well. He did his role perfectly. It is there, but when you're picking a champion like Mbessa and getting demolished like this, it becomes very difficult for your team to win fights because you just don't really do any damage. I don't necessarily think that Burdol is the reason why LGD lost this game, not even close, but it really doesn't help when you go from, man, that Mundo performance was insane, MVP, to, okay, you're down 3,000 gold in the side lane and you don't really do any damage to the backline.
Certainly a tough one for LGD to swallow, Jbetto. Let's talk MVPs. This game, I certainly think that you could give it over to Gala. I think that Vampire did a really excellent job in this one. Could also give it to JunJia, who really had a good game. I'll even give credit to Xiaoxu, but I'm really thinking it's coming out of the bottom lane in this game.
Yeah, I don't think an MVP for the series for Gala, but definitely for this game would make a ton of sense for me, and he will be able to get it here.
This means he's going to get it for the series.
Is that how it works?
He got it in game one. He was player of the game in game one. Almost certainly is going to have it for the series.
I mean,
I would be
understand.
surprised if he didn't. You know, we talk about a guy like Vampire who played 3 really good games. Tangyuan, who played 3 really good games. Gala played really 3 excellent games. We acknowledged that the Xerath game was not really his fault. He did his thing. He did all the damage that he had, that he could do. He landed his skill shots. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to have that sort of impact like he's had on 80 carries. But for the most part, the Corgi game and the Kaisa game were excellently played.
8 out of 8 Pog votes.
I don't know
here
if
for
I'd
Gala.
give it 8. I'd give him 6.
So we're like ranking, we don't get a vote, but we're ranking like out of 8, how many would we give you? I like it. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting discussion, and it's one I've had a couple of times on broadcast about what actually constitutes a player of the series. Is it just you got Pog in 2 games, but had a pretty unimpactful game 2? Yeah, he didn't lose the game, but he didn't really contribute to it in any meaningful way at all. Wasn't really impressed with the Xerath. I think, like, if I would give a player of the series as to anything other, I think it would be Vampire. Of course, it is going to be Gala, like you mentioned. But I do want to shout out Vampire. I think he had a really good series. I think played really well in game 1. Game 2, a bit tough. When enemy Draven gets cash out on your mid laner and is up 3,000 gold. You're on Nautilus. What can you do? And then game 3, I think, yeah, he over-centered a couple of times, but was instrumental in there pushing forwards. Talk about Gala, though. This Corki game was insane. Yeah, the Xerath was a little slow, but the Kaisa, I mean, it's Gala Kaisa, guys. He looks great on it.
Yep, and I'm glad that, as we mentioned earlier, JDG going back to what works for them, putting Gala on what he's good at, seeing how far you can get, even though the meta is hostile to some of these 80 carries. He was still able to get the job done when JDG needed him the most. And that's going to be it for myself and Jbetto. But the good news for all of you LPL fans is we have one more series today. Edward Gaming versus Top Esports will be coming up next, covered by Foles and Grape.